This is how I added the Witch's Road to Minecraft. If you're new here, hi, my name is yoshbluu and I like making custom Minecraft content. I started with a forest biome filled with monstrous trees that had branches so jagged they looked like sharp, deadly claws. I turned the ground purple and added foliage that you wouldn't normally see growing in a regular Minecraft forest. I wanted everything to look and feel whimsical to anyone brave enough to walk the road. And of course, the centerpiece, the road. The forest originally had a river cutting through it, so I transformed it into a magical purple road. I used the glass fog trick to create a glowing effect, making the road look more mystical. In almost all of my projects, I challenge myself to blend Minecraft with the source material I'm inspired by. In the show, straying from the path brought deadly consequences for the witches. To replicate this, I planted wither roses throughout the forest to deter witches from wandering off the road. The build was nearly complete, but something was still missing. I really wanted to incorporate the concept of forming covens into this project because that was central to the Witch's Road. So, I decided that the road was going to be an event where everyone would meet at sundown, form one big coven, and walk the road together. Everyone would then face its tricks and trials together to earn the road's ultimate prize. I'd never done anything like this before, so pulling it off was a crazy task. Thankfully, so many of you were on board. The road consisted of 4 trials, each inspired by the ones from the show. These tested the player's knowledge of magic and Minecraft. Being part of a coven was key to the experience. Players needed to show teamwork, bravery, intelligence, and selflessness to overcome the trials. To raise the stakes, players were stripped off their items, bending, and powers. They couldn't use cheats or commands, and they had to face the road as they were. One of the rules was that once a witch entered the road, they had to finish it. If a player died during the trials, their spirit lived on in spectator mode, allowing them to guide and support their surviving coven members. Oh, and one more thing. If a witch died, they couldn't claim the prize. Since the rules required everyone, dead or alive, to go through all the trials, each trial became a vital step for the next. The first trial, the Lost Tides, set the foundation for the journey ahead. Players had 5 minutes to swim through a lake, hunting for treasure left behind by witches who had previously walked the road. The treasures, ranging from potions and food to pitchforks, were designed to help the witches on their journey. But there was a catch. In a witch's quest to collect all the treasure they could find, they could forget to breathe and risk drowning. The treasure chests weren't always safe too. They could spawn dangerous guardians or disappear when you least expected it. If successful, players could obtain moon water, healing water derived from the cleansing power of the moon. Originally created by combining a water bucket and a glass bottle under a full moon, a witch could either drink it all at once or use it little by little to heal themselves and their coven throughout the trials. In assembling her coven, Agatha wanted a healing witch, and I figured anyone who had moon water could now play that role. Now in the show, the witches had free will, and so did you. This meant if you wanted to betray your coven, you could. A witch with moon water could choose to abandon their coven, swim to safety, and save the water for themselves. While I know some of you did exactly that, I was amazed by how selfless so many of you were. You risked your lives and the prize just to save your friends. And this was insane to watch, knowing most of you met just minutes before entering the road. Trial 2, The Cursed Flame, tested players' speed and intelligence. Before the trial began, players were given a riddle. A creature unseen and it must be harmed, to leave behind pieces an ashy charm. Gather 4 of these fragments, a task to complete. Craft them together for more power you seek. There was a creature in this trial, but it was invisible and it set players on fire. Sounds familiar? I added a little twist to it so it wasn't all that bad. This creature could either be the player's cause of death or survival, but that would depend on how quickly they could think on their feet. As evil as it was, I wanted this creature to be also good in some way. If players were quick to catch the curse, they could punch it and make it drop infernal ash. Infernal ash was a magical blend of blaze and gunpowder that could conjure flames. Imagine mini fireballs at your fingertips. Anything this thing hit was set on fire. So now players could use the ash to light the invisible creature on fire. This would then let them see the creature better while also collecting even more ash as it burned. It was like a gift that kept on giving. Now don't forget about the riddle. Like I said, this trial was a test of speed and intelligence. And boy, you guys were fast and smart. If you took 4 fragments of the infernal ash like the riddle said, you could craft an ashen sigil. When casted, the sigil drew a circle of flames on the ground that protected players inside it from evil. In this case, the curse. If the evil entities come close to your protection circle, they would be blasted away and set on fire. Teamwork and resourcefulness were essential. Remember the moon water from the first trial? Aside from healing, it could also extinguish burning players. Now, players had that alongside the Ashen Sigil, which created many safe havens for everyone during the trial. The third trial was called Fair Flight. I don't know if you've caught on yet, but not everything on the road was as it seemed. There were things you might have thought was for one thing, but then it was actually for another thing, or something completely different. Treasure chests weren't exactly all treasure. Moon water had to be saved to extinguish flames. The curse was also a blessing because without it, the players wouldn't have gained the defensive and offensive powers of fire. We were halfway done at this point, so before we started the third trial, I reminded the survivors about their dead friends, because so many of them were dead by now. Did they feel bad for not healing them? Protecting them? Or maybe they didn't feel bad at all. Maybe they deserved to die. I wanted this trial to reward those who were still alive by taking some weight off their shoulders. After narrowly missing death multiple times, this task was much simpler than previous ones. They had to meet the pixies. These floating creatures were tiny and mischievous. While seemingly harmless, these little devils could bite and pinch you hard enough to send you straight into the afterlife. And luckily for us, they were really excited to see humans because they finally had new toys to play with. Oh, and naturally, the pixies had pixie dust, which granted whoever had it the power of flight. Of course, you'd want the pixie dust. Who wouldn't? The challenge was simple: collect pixie dust. However, getting it wasn't going to be that easy. The trick was in figuring out how to get the dust from the pixies. At first instinct, you would think to blast them with your newly found powers to make them drop the dust. But the trick was you actually needed them alive for them to give you the dust. If you killed them too early, you risked not getting the item. And that's exactly what happened. Everyone massacred the poor pixies, but this low-key made me glad I changed the mechanics for this mob, because now I know in the future, you're used to killing the mob just to get the prize. But to your luck, and despite your panic, you were able to literally do the right thing, which was, instead of left-clicking or punching the pixies, you pressed the other button and right-click them, just like you would when feeding animals or trading with villagers. Right-clicking the pixies revealed their helpful side and made them give you the pixie dust. All the pixies were dead, and some already got the pixie dust. But the trial timer was still counting down. Everyone started to panic, thinking the trial wasn't done right, but it was actually just my fault for setting the trial timer too long. But in your state of panic, and like the true Coven you were, you made sure everyone had pixie dust and shared with those that didn't. And I just thought, what an amazing turn of events. Making the dream work through teamwork. In the final trial, I made the remaining players face a moral dilemma. Should they resurrect their fallen Coven members? Bringing someone back to life restored their abilities and gave them back the chance to win the Rhodes Prize. While many players agreed without hesitation, others grappled with the decision. So this is the fourth trial. So Mythic is the last person alive. You have the power right now. You said you wanted food. I am gonna give you the choice to either get food or bring all of the dead people back.
Bringing back one person, you're bringing back everyone.
I'm bringing back everyone.
Every single person.
Every single person will come back from the dead.
I get 0 food.
You get 0 food.
Did anyone have food on them when they died?
Oh my god, no.
Okay. I will bring every person back to life. You could chat this.
Yes.
Should the survivors hoard their hard-earned prize or share it with everyone else? In the end, the Coven chose to reunite, proving their loyalty to each other. At this point, everyone had the powers of healing, protection, and flight. Guys, there's a problem.
What's the problem?
Death didn't like Mythic's decision.
Are you kidding me?
Why am I surprised?
When I started building the road, I was so excited when I realized I could add Rio. She became the last trick up my sleeve, and it took everything in me to keep it a secret. Normally, I update my patrons on what I'm working on ahead of time so they know what's coming. But this time, I had to stay quiet. Rio was the cherry on top, and I couldn't wait to see everyone's reactions when she finally came on. But first, I had to add her into the game. I made her skin and even modeled her crown. Rio's powers allowed her to slip in and out of reality. With one tap, she could send you straight to the realm of the dead. Imagine surviving all of those trials, barely making it out alive, only for her to claim you in a snap. That would suck, especially if you were the one who was just trying to be nice by bringing your Coven back from the dead. Everyone else gets to claim the prize after all your hard work, and you go home without it. Of course, if the surviving players decided not to bring back the dead, none of this would have happened. Rio wouldn't spawn, and everyone would skip straight to the finale. But I guess I knew better to plan this all along. Like I said, everything on the road served a purpose. Whether it tried killing you or helped you claim the prize. If you kept your ashen sigils, they could protect you and keep you alive. The sigil shielded those inside it from evil. While Rio was extremely powerful, she had to respect your sigil, so it was all balanced. After defeating Rio, the surviving witches faced one final challenge, a battle against Wiccan, the son of the Scarlet Witch. Wiccan could use blasts, beams, and mind control. With his magic, he could also spontaneously create minions that would attack his enemies. Everyone had to team up against him, combining all of their powers so they were healing and protecting each other, flying away from danger, and ultimately conquering the road together. Wiccan's crown granted those who wore it his powers. It served as the ultimate prize for those who conquered the Witch's Road. The level of detail, thought, and time I put into this was unlike anything I've done before. It was incredibly challenging, but also so much fun. Watching all of you react to everything was amazing. It felt just like how Agatha watched her Coven experience the road for the first time. So what's next? Unlike Billy, I decided to keep the Witch's Road open. It's now a permanent dimension on my server, just like the Nether and the End. It's an adventure map, meaning you can't build in it, but you can explore and interact with everything inside. While the trials you just saw will no longer be active, I've added new creatures, spells, and rituals for you to discover. I won't spoil everything, but since you've made it this far in the video, here is a little something for sticking around. There are now items you can only obtain within the Witch's Road. Oh, and you'll need your Coven for all of this. Share your thoughts in the comments. What would you have added? The cool thing about the Witch's Road is that it can now serve as a hub for all my magic related creations. And with your feedback, you can help me shape it too. The possibilities are endless, and the fun is just getting started.